You ever felt her eyes lock on you from across the room, and something inside you paused? You turned, and there it was. A split-second stare. Then she looked away. But not quick enough, not empty either. You felt it, you know it. That wasn't an accident. This video is not for the weak. It's not for the naive. It's for you. The man who's tired of being confused, tired of doubting himself, tired of second-guessing every interaction because society told you to suppress what your instincts scream loud and clear. Her eyes are speaking, not softly, loudly. But most men don't listen because they were never taught how. You were trained to ignore truth. You were trained to dismiss gut feeling. You were trained to be blind. Today, we shatter that blindness. This isn't pickup tricks. This isn't manipulation. This is clarity. This is psychological warfare dressed as silence. And once you understand it, once you truly learn how to read her eyes, you'll never be manipulated again. You'll never be left wondering, what did that mean? Her glance is not random. Her gaze is not weak. It's loaded. And today I'm handing you the map. This video will break down the 4 undeniable ways her eye contact reveals what her mouth never will. If you miss them, you'll keep guessing. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. So before we dive in, I want you to comment, "I see truth now." That's your oath. That's your pact. This is no longer about women. This is about power. Your power. Vision is power. Precision is strength. Stay with me till the end, and I promise, you'll walk away with more than knowledge. You'll walk away seeing the world completely different. You'll know what you've missed all your life, and you'll never miss it again. Before we go deeper, let me ask you this. Do you want to understand attraction on a level most men never will? Do you want clarity in relationships, not confusion? Are you ready to live with control, discipline, and purpose? If you said yes to any of those, then the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men is exactly what you've been waiting for. It's the most practical, brutally clear, and deeply transformational relationship blueprint ever written for men, designed to take you from passive, uncertain, reactive to deliberate, calm, and in total control of your personal life and relationships. This is the kind of knowledge you wish your father had handed you. The kind of framework that shows you how to move through relationships with clarity, power, and presence, without sacrificing your values, your vision, or your soul. And now, it's finally available to the public. Check the link in the comments. Now, back to why you're really here. The 4 ways eye contact reveals someone likes you. Number 1, she holds it longer than needed. You're sitting still. You're not saying a word. Maybe you're at a cafe, on a train, walking through the park, or standing in line. And then it happens. That flash of connection. You don't even have to look directly at her to feel it. You just know. You glance up, and her eyes are already on you. But she doesn't blink. She doesn't glance away like she got caught doing something wrong. No, she holds it. And that hold, those few lingering seconds that feel like time slowed down just for that one look, is a confession, a whisper louder than words. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It hits somewhere deep. It bypasses your brain, your logic, your insecurities, and lands directly in your core. Not because you're desperate for attention, not because you're craving validation, but because you recognize what it means. Because in a world where everyone hides behind filters, sarcasm, distraction, and shallow conversation, eye contact is the only honest thing left. And when a woman looks at you like that, not out of politeness, not out of coincidence, but with a subtle intensity that says, "I see you and I want to be seen by you," you'd be a fool to ignore it. But that's exactly what most men do. Not because they're dumb, but because they've been conditioned to dismiss the very instincts that would change everything. We're taught to rely on signs that are easy to fake, laughing at jokes, touching the arm, swiping right, smiling at text messages, but the eyes, they betray desire before words ever catch up. And when she holds that gaze longer than needed, she's revealing more than most men will ever understand. She's revealing that something about you broke through her noise. Maybe it was your stillness. Maybe it was your energy. Maybe it was the way you looked unbothered by the world. Whatever it was, it caught her. And instead of looking away, she stayed. For 1 second too long. And that second is everything. That second carries her curiosity, her attraction, her intrigue, and her tension. That second is a door opening. And what do most men do when that door opens? They slam it shut. They look away. They assume it was nothing. Or worse, they break the moment with an awkward smile, a nervous reaction, or a forced conversation that kills the very energy that invited her gaze in the first place. And why do they do that? Because they don't believe they're worthy of being looked at like that. Because they've been told they're invisible unless they do something outrageous to be noticed. But the truth is this: when you carry yourself with inner calm, when your presence is rooted, when you walk into a room and your eyes aren't darting everywhere begging for attention, you draw it naturally, and not just from anyone, from the one who's watching when you're not trying. So when she holds that look, it's not just about attraction, it's about resonance. Her mind is processing you, but her body already answered. That gaze is not passive, it's intentional. Even if she doesn't realize it consciously, something inside her already decided, pay attention to him. That's biology, that's psychology, that's truth. And if you're present enough to notice it, and centered enough to hold it without flinching, you instantly set yourself apart from every man who needed a joke, a pickup line, a flex, or a gimmick to be seen. Because you were seen doing nothing, and that's everything. That's what changes how she looks at you again. That's what makes her remember your face, even if you never speak. That's what makes her glance again, and again, and again. Because something in her felt something rare, something she didn't expect, something she couldn't control. You didn't trigger it by talking, you triggered it by being. And now you have a choice. You can keep dismissing those looks. You can keep convincing yourself they're accidents. You can keep believing the lie that if she didn't say anything, it meant nothing. Or you can learn to read it, learn to feel it, learn to respond without speaking, learn to carry yourself in a way that invites more of those moments, not by chasing them, but by being the man they gravitate toward. So how do you do that? You build yourself, not for women, for you. You hit the gym not because you want biceps, but because strength quiets your doubts. You write your goals not for motivation, but because direction makes you move with weight. You speak less not because you're shy, but because silence creates space, and women fill that space with thoughts of you. You become the man who doesn't seek attention because he already has enough attention from himself. And that's when her gaze lingers, because she's not looking at a man who's asking for approval. She's looking at a man who's already approved of himself. And that's irresistible. Not because you tried, but because you were. She sees your calm, she feels your gravity. And when she holds that gaze, she's asking a question without words. Are you what I think you are? And when you hold it back, without blinking, without chasing, without breaking, you're answering more. That's power, that's presence. That's the moment you stop chasing attraction and start commanding it. So the next time it happens, when you feel her eyes on you, and they don't flinch and they don't retreat, don't be the man who breaks the spell. Be the man who breathes deeper, holds the moment, and lets her wonder what it means. Because she will, and she'll come back. Maybe not with words, maybe not even with action, but with more glances, with proximity, with soft smiles that weren't there before. And if you stay present, if you stay aware, you'll see it all. You'll move through the world like a man who sees the codes everyone else misses. Not because you're better, but because you stopped ignoring your instincts, because you trusted your perception, because you stopped needing proof. That's what this is really about. Not women, not validation, but sight. The ability to see clearly in a world of noise. The ability to feel truth in a second of eye contact. The ability to walk through life knowing you don't need to be loud to be felt. Just still, just aware, just real. And once you become that man, you won't need anyone to tell you what a long look means. You'll already know. Number 2, she looks, then looks away. You've seen it more times than you can count. She looks at you. You feel the weight of it, a brief stillness in time, and just when your eyes meet, she turns away. Quickly, almost like you weren't supposed to notice. But you did. And you wonder, what did that mean? Did it mean anything? Was it just a coincidence? Was she just scanning the room? Don't lie to yourself. You felt it. That wasn't scanning. That wasn't polite interest. That wasn't passing curiosity. That was something more. And the reason it sticks in your mind, long after the moment passed, is because deep down, you know the truth. You just don't want to believe it, because believing it forces you to confront everything you've been trained to ignore. That look, then the quick glance away, is not disinterest. It's the exact opposite. It's the moment her desire betrays her composure. It's the second she realizes she saw you, not just physically, but felt you. And in that second, she's exposed. Her body is speaking before her words, and the gaze gives her away. So she retreats, she hides, she breaks eye contact, not to reject you, but to recover. That look away is her attempt to take back control, to cover up what her eyes just said. And the more drawn she is, the faster she'll pull away. That's not arrogance, that's vulnerability, that's fear, that's power. But if you don't understand this, you'll miss it, you'll misread it, you'll convince yourself she wasn't interested, you'll walk away, you'll write her off, you'll miss what was right in front of you, and she'll never say a word. She'll never confirm what you felt, because it's easier to pretend it didn't happen than to admit how it made her feel. And this is where most men lose. They want obvious signs, clear signals. They want women to say what they mean. But that's not how attraction works. Not the kind that changes you, not the kind that lingers, not the kind that stirs emotion deeper than logic. The look away is not avoidance. It's not insult. It's a reveal, quick, raw, and unintentional. And the key is this: if she looks away fast, but keeps looking again, over and over, she's not avoiding you. She's being drawn in against her will. That's not the game. That's not manipulation. That's nature. And you must learn to recognize the difference between a woman who's uninterested and a woman who's overwhelmed by what she's feeling. One will look once and never again. The other will look, retreat, and return again and again, each time hoping you don't notice and hoping that you do. That's attraction trying not to be obvious. That's emotion fighting logic. That's when you know you're under her skin. But here's where it gets deeper. If you react too soon, if you try to call it out, if you stare her down, if you joke about catching her, you kill it. You shatter the tension. You give her the out she was praying for. Because when she looks away, what she's really doing is asking, will you chase me? And if you do, if you pursue right then and there, she wins. You've given her back the power she never meant to lose. But if you stay still, if you stay grounded, if you let her play the game of look, hide, look, without flinching, without reaching, without collapsing into the urge to do something, you become unforgettable. Why? because you didn't make her embarrassment worse. You didn't react to her loss of control. You became the safe container for her chaos. You saw her, and you let her feel what she felt without judgment. And whether she admits it or not, she'll come back to that, over and over. Maybe not with words, maybe not with bold moves, but with more looks, with proximity, with subtle changes in energy. You'll feel it, because that kind of gaze doesn't disappear. It grows, and it grows strongest when you don't chase it. But here's the truth most men are afraid to admit. They need it too badly. They need validation. They need confirmation. They need a woman to say, "Yes, I like you," or they fall apart. But that neediness kills mystery. It kills allure. It kills tension. And it kills your presence. Because a man who needs to be told is not a man who is trusted. The man she looks at, then runs from, is the man who has presence that rattles her. And if you can stand still, emotionally, energetically, while she wrestles with what she feels, you become more than just a man she notices. You become a man she remembers. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time she looks and turns away, you don't look down. You don't rush to do something. You don't doubt yourself. You hold the moment, internally, calmly. You don't break. And if she looks again, and again, and again, you don't let it inflate your ego. You let it confirm your presence. That's all. Nothing more. You're not seducing. You're not playing games. You're just being. And you'll notice something powerful. When you stop reacting to her glances, she stops being able to ignore you. Her thoughts begin to cycle. She starts watching more, wondering more, imagining more. And all you did was stay still. That's presence. That's awareness. That's when her behavior starts changing without her even knowing why. She begins to lean in, not with words, but with body language, tone, frequency, and positioning. And it all began with one look, and her breaking it. But now you understand it wasn't rejection. It was tension. It was electricity. It was her mind trying to protect what her body had already revealed. And once you know that, you never see women the same again. You stop reacting. You start observing. You stop chasing. You start attracting. And you start realizing that every woman who's ever looked away after looking at you was saying something loud, clear, and real. She just hoped you wouldn't hear it. But now you do. Number 3. When she avoids eye contact. There's a different kind of signal, one most men misunderstand completely, and it's this. She sees you, but won't meet your eyes. Not once, not even briefly. You feel her presence near, her energy almost orbiting you, her glances grazing your space when she thinks you're not aware. But when your head turns, when your gaze lifts, she's suddenly looking anywhere but you, to the wall, to her phone, to the floor. And you feel that confusion creeping in. You ask yourself, is she shy? Is she disinterested? Is she just avoiding me? But that's where most men fail. They stop at the question, instead of learning how to read what's underneath it. Because sometimes the avoidance isn't disinterest, it's exposure. And for a lot of women, that exposure doesn't feel safe. You have to understand what's happening beneath the surface. She's not always avoiding you because she doesn't want you. Sometimes she's avoiding you because you made her feel something she didn't plan for. And for many women, especially those who've been conditioned to be careful, to guard, to withhold, feeling something real is terrifying. It means letting go of control. It means someone might see the part of her she's tried to keep hidden. It means vulnerability without an exit. And for some, especially the ones who carry wounds they've never spoken of, that kind of vulnerability is unbearable. So they look away, not out of coldness, but because the connection was too much. Because she knew that if your eyes met, she wouldn't be able to keep pretending. And that loss of control, for a woman who's built her identity around being untouchable, is devastating. So instead of meeting your eyes, she avoids them. But here's the mistake men make. They see that avoidance, and they either chase it harder or walk away too soon. They don't see it for what it truly is, a test of your steadiness, a test of your patience, a test of your presence. She's watching you, not with her eyes, but with her awareness. She's gauging how you respond. Do you grow desperate? Do you try harder? Do you get loud? Do you try to get her attention with antics? Or do you stay exactly where you are, anchored, confident, and unaffected? Because the man who is truly grounded doesn't need eye contact to feel his worth. He doesn't need recognition to feel valuable. He doesn't need validation to believe in what he carries. He already knows, and that knowing radiates from him like a signal. She feels it even if she never looks up. She senses it in how you carry yourself, in the way your presence takes up space without ever demanding it, in the way you don't react when she pretends not to see you. That steadiness, that calm, that refusal to chase, it disrupts her, because it's the opposite of what she's used to. She's used to men overextending. She's used to attention flooding her whether she wants it or not. She's used to men who can't hold their composure. But you just stay still, and that stillness becomes magnetic. And slowly, very slowly, her avoidance starts to crack. You'll notice it. The small ways she orbits closer, the way she chooses to stand where you can see her, the way she lingers in places she knows you'll be, the way she starts speaking louder around you, not to you, just to see if you'll turn your head. That's not random. That's not passive. That's a woman trying to navigate her own discomfort while still staying connected to the feeling you brought up in her. And the more you understand this, the more powerful you become, because you stop reacting, you stop over-investing, you stop needing her eyes to know where you stand. You read energy, you read space, you read timing. You become a man who doesn't rush what needs time to unfold. And in doing that, you give her something rare, safety, not in words, not in protection, but in perception. She sees that you can see her, and you're not demanding anything from her, that you can witness her hesitation and still stay composed, that you can feel her emotions and not be overtaken by your own. And that's when the shift happens. Slowly, subtly, her guard starts to drop. She might not meet your eyes today or tomorrow, but one day she will. And when she does, it'll be full, software vulnerable, unmistakable. It won't be the gaze of a girl flirting. It'll be the gaze of a woman revealing. And that's a gaze most men never earn, because they couldn't wait long enough for it, because they gave up when she looked away. But now you know. Now you understand what it means when she won't meet your eyes. It means you moved something in her she wasn't ready to face. It means she felt something that scared her. It means you stirred a question she can't answer yet. And your job is not to solve it for her. Your job is to stay exactly as you are, unshaken. Because in that stillness, you give her room to come closer on her own. And when she does, you'll know it wasn't fake. It wasn't a game. It wasn't an act. It was real, earned, felt, and it started the moment she looked everywhere except at you. Number 4. The eye triangle. There's a level of awareness most men never reach. A moment when you're no longer questioning if she's interested or guessing what her behavior means, because you've studied enough, observed enough, felt enough to recognize the language of her desire in ways that are not taught in words or school or media. And one of the most powerful signals, one that almost no one speaks of, yet is as ancient as desire itself, is the gaze that forms a triangle, the movement of her eyes when words stop being the currency and the unspoken becomes deafening in its clarity. You're in conversation, maybe even just a few feet apart, or it's the quiet moment before she speaks. or the seconds after you've made her laugh, or even those long pauses where neither of you feel the need to fill the air. And then it begins. Her eyes don't just look at you anymore. They study you. One eye, then the other, then down to your lips. Not just once, but again and again. Eye, mouth. Eye, mouth. And this is not idle looking. This is her mind attempting to manage something her body has already decided. This is attraction shifting from casual to intimate, from flirtation to consideration. This is not about liking you. This is about imagining you. Imagining closeness, imagining touch, imagining what it would feel like to bridge that space between her desire and her restraint. And this is the part where men who are unprepared fold under the pressure, because it's no longer playful, it's no longer distant, it's not a game anymore, it's real. The triangle gaze isn't a test, it's an opening into the part of her she doesn't share easily, doesn't show often, and doesn't want just anyone to notice. And if you react with desperation, if you rush in thinking you've won, if you break the tension by trying to act on it too soon, you kill it. You make her feel misread, mishandled, misunderstood. Because that gaze wasn't an invitation for you to pounce. It was a revelation of vulnerability disguised as control. It was her internal conflict dancing across her eyes, trying to hide what her physiology couldn't contain. And the men who understand this, who recognize that when a woman's eyes travel between yours and your lips, she's not just watching, she's wondering. Those are the men who become unforgettable, because they didn't take the bait. They didn't break the spell. They didn't shatter the moment with ego or need or impulse. They held their ground, not with arrogance, not with pride, but with presence. They let her finish the sentence her eyes began. They allowed her the space to feel everything she was feeling without trying to control it or label it or rush it. That kind of composure drives her crazy in the best way, because she sees that you see her and you're not intimidated. She sees that you feel her energy and you're not begging for more. She sees that you're tuned in but not reactive, and that is intoxicating, because so few men can hold that level of intensity without crumbling under it. And when you do, when you stand there, eyes steady, breath calm, energy firm but not aggressive, you become more than just a man in the room. You become the one she replays, over and over, days later, weeks later, sometimes months. That triangle gaze isn't forgotten easily because it's not experienced often. It's rare, precious, intimate. It's a mental imprint. It's her soul wondering if your presence can handle her desire without consuming it. It's a question she's not even fully aware she's asking, but she is. Can you hold this? And when you can, when you don't lean in, don't crack a joke to ease the weight. Don't drop your eyes to relieve your own discomfort. You answer it louder than any words ever could. You say, I'm here. I see you. I'm not rushing. I'm not afraid. And that answer changes everything, because now she knows you're different. You're not a boy playing at manhood. You're not a flirt looking for validation. You're not a charmer trying to win approval. You're a man who already has his own peace. And any intimacy you invite in must meet you there. You're not chasing her triangle gaze. You're acknowledging it. And that changes the power dynamic in a way she won't be able to explain. But she'll feel it in her bones. She'll carry it home with her. She'll think about it later, when the moment has passed. She'll remember how you looked at her without hunger, without need, but with presence. And she'll wonder how it felt so safe, so intense, so exposed. She'll compare every man after you to that moment. And most won't measure up. Not because they aren't attractive, not because they don't say the right things, but because they didn't understand what to do when her eyes stopped looking and started speaking. And now you do. Now you understand what the eye triangle means. Now you know that when her eyes move from yours to your mouth, it's not randomness, it's chemistry. It's yearning, it's anticipation. And you don't react like a fool. You breathe deeper. You let the weight of that gaze settle. You match her presence without trying to overtake it. And most of all, you don't need to rush. Because when you've earned the triangle gaze, you've already earned her curiosity. And with curiosity comes openness. And with openness, the door to deeper connection begins to creak open. Not because you said the perfect line, not because you played it cool, but because you had the strength to hold what she couldn't say in the only language she could express it, with her eyes. You learned to read what most miss. And in doing that, you became what most men will never be. Seen, not just noticed, not just looked at, seen. And when a woman sees a man who sees her right back, without fear, without pressure, without trying to own or dominate, it awakens something ancient in her, something raw, something real. And you didn't need to do anything to make that happen. You only had to be. You've heard what most men never will. You've seen what most will keep missing. You've been handed the exact truths they'll spend years ignoring, the ones that could have saved them heartbreak, confusion, wasted time, and crushed self-worth. And now you have a choice: to walk away and pretend you didn't hear it, or to take the first real step toward becoming the man who no longer begs for attention, but commands presence. If you're tired of second-guessing her, tired of being in the dark, tired of feeling like you're always a few steps behind, then the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men is for you. It's raw, unapologetic, and unfiltered truth. The kind of truth that makes you uncomfortable before it sets you free. And it's linked right now in the comments, but it won't be available forever, because not everyone is ready for it, and not everyone should have it. If you're ready to never be blind again, type the Stoic Blueprint in the comments below. Like the video if it cracked something open inside you, and subscribe so more men can be pulled from the edge of quiet desperation and into the light of truth.